Okay, it's 5:30. As always, I kind of start out the meeting thanking everybody for coming. As always, I say, wow, I love to see this office building, whatever, filled up, especially standing room only. So thank y'all guys for coming. And I especially want to thank the future education of y'all. So when you graduate, please stay in the county. We need you. Plus, there's no better other county to go teach in is Lawrence County. So stick with it. It's a very challenging career, very rewarding career. Ask any supervisors, teachers, whoever's up here, they'll let you know it's a very rewarding career. And also like to start out with a little moment of silence, just to kind of reflect in the past of what's happened throughout the whole universe and going forward, what's going to happen to our wonderful system. And we got great things coming up from now until Christmas and after Christmas. So just take a moment of silence, and after that, we'll rise for the pledge. Thank you. Please rise. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please call roll.
Caruso.
Here.
Daniel.
Here.
Dryden.
Here.
Hartsfield.
Here.
Jacobs. Here. Mabry.
Here.
Nidert.
Here.
Rochelle.
Here.
Weathers.
Here.
None present.
All present. We do have a quorum. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Atkins for the election of officer for September.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Each September, the board selects a chairperson and a vice chairperson. At this time, I open the floor for nominations for chair for the next 12 months.
That's right.
Mr. Rochelle.
I nominate John Daniels as chairperson.
Mr. Dryden.
I was going to nominate Mr. Kevin Caruso.
And Mrs. Jacobs.
That was who I was going to nominate,
Okay.
Mr. Caruso.
All right, are there any other nominations, any other names to be submitted for chair for the next 12 months? We have to have a second on any of these.
I think you will cease nominations.
All
Is
right.
that
If there are
correct, Mr. Dryden?
no other nominations, we'll close nominations for the chair at this time. Okay? When the roll is called, Mrs. Elledge, if you would please cast your vote for either Mr. Daniel or Mr. Caruso for chairman of the Lawrence County Board of Education for the next 12 months.
Caruso.
Mr. Caruso.
Daniel.
Mr. Daniel.
Dryden.
Caruso.
Hartsfield.
Caruso.
Jacobs.
Mr. Caruso.
Mabry.
Mr. Caruso.
Nidert.
Mr. Caruso.
Rochelle.
Mr. Daniel.
Weathers.
Mr. Daniel.
6 Caruso, 3 Daniel.
Chairman Caruso, I can hand it back over to you and let you do the nominations for vice chair, or if you want me to continue, I'll be glad to.
I'll take it over. First of all, I want to thank everyone for supporting me throughout the going on 5 years now, so I appreciate it. I try to do my best. I try to let all the board members express what they need and take the time to do it. So thank you very much for your current support, and I'm hoping anytime, please call me and I'll be glad to assist any one of you. At this time, I'd like to open the nominations for vice chair.
Mr. Caruso.
Go ahead,
I'd
Brenda.
like to nominate Mr. Nidert. Royce Nidert.
We got a nomination from Mr. Nidert.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for vice chair. At this time, I'll close the nomination, and by one vote or one nomination, Mr. Neidert, you're vice chair. At this time, I'd like to elect a TLN representative, and if Ms. Jacobs would continue that, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. So we have chair, we have vice chair, and TLN representative. Next on the agenda tonight is recognition. We have a retired educator, and that's John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see everyone here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Director Atkins and fellow board members, it's truly an honor and a privilege this afternoon to recognize a man who, with no doubt, has impacted and made a difference in so many, many lives of Lawrence County. I'm certain that each and every Ethel Benson Award is to some degree personal to the board member making the recognition. At least it has been that way for me of every retired teacher that I've had the privilege to recognize, meaning that they have all in some way made a difference and impacted my life. And up until tonight, every teacher that I've recognized, I've either sat in their classroom or played for them on the court or on the field. I've mostly only known them in their role as an educator or as a coach. However, tonight, for me, this recognition is a little bit different. Tonight, I wish to recognize the late Mr. James Hollis Freeman, otherwise known as Jimmy, Jim, or Coach. You see, I never sat in the very first class of Coach Freeman's, nor did I ever play the first inning, the first quarter, or the first down for Coach Freeman. However, there's a certain element that makes tonight's recognition a little more special and a little more personal to me than any of the other recognitions that I've ever done. We see, among the many who are here to honor Coach Freeman is his one and only son, Josh. I met Josh Freeman in 1978 at a little place down the road called Town. Now, I was born in 1978, so that lets you know how far back Josh and I go. In fact, I never remember a time in my life that I didn't know Josh Freeman as my best friend, and still to this day consider him as such. My relationship with Josh put me in the home of Jim Freeman so many times that I couldn't count. I've raided his refrigerator, I've ate his food, I've woke him up and disturbed his sleep in the middle of the night when Josh and I were when Josh was being too rowdy. And I'm sure without a doubt, I've disturbed it, or I've kept him awake late at night wondering what Josh and I, mainly Josh, was getting into. Coach Freeman wasn't a coach to me. He wasn't Mr. Freeman, the history teacher. He was Jim, my best friend's dad. Sadly, we lost a great educator, a great coach, a great mentor, a great father in October of 2020 due to the complications of COVID-19 virus. This time of year was a very difficult time for everyone, as it was right in the middle, in the heart of the COVID shutdown, when nobody was allowed to go in and out of the hospitals or anywhere. But thankfully, Crockett Hospital was kind enough to allow Josh and the family to sit by Coach's side as he passed. And then Josh gave me the honor of speaking at Coach Freeman's funeral that could only be attended by a few family members. So tonight, it's another opportunity that I have to publicly honor this great man in his service that he gave to our county's youth through his service to Lawrence County school system. So thank you again, Director Atkins and fellow board members in the Lawrence County school system for affording me this opportunity. And thank you, Sue, the rest of the family, and Josh for being willing to be here and allow me to honor your dad. Coach Jim Freeman graduated from Summertown High School in 1967, playing basketball and baseball for the Eagles and lettered all 4 years. After graduation, he attended Columbia State Community College, graduating from there in 1969. And I learned this, putting this together, that I didn't know about Coach Freeman, but he also played basketball for the Chargers for 1 season. Coach then, after graduating Columbia State, transferred to Belmont University, where he earned his bachelor's degree in 1971, and then his master's later on from Tennessee State University in 1995. Coach had 2 children, Stacy Jennifer and Joshua Hollis Freeman. Coach and the family experienced a very devastating loss in 1991 when they lost Stacy due to a car accident. Coach would forever carry a piece of his broken heart after losing Stacy, as any father would. Coach began his teaching career at his alma mater of Summertown High School in 1971, and he taught there all the way through 1976. And while at Summertown, he coached baseball and basketball for the Eagles. He left Summertown High School and he made his way to Lawrence County High School in 1976, where he would become a staple in the history department for many, many years. He taught alongside of men like Mr. Johnny Marston, Mr. Joe Beard, my father, David Daniel, Ralph Benson, Gary Lamb, who is here also tonight to honor him, just to name a few. While at Lawrence County High School, he coached, he assisted coach, football, baseball, boys basketball, head coach track and field, coached, assistant coached, girls basketball, and the JV boys basketball team. He served as a scout for Willie Joyner, who at one time was Coach Freeman's assistant coach, but this at one time he was serving as a scout for Coach Willie Joyner in the 1998 Lady Cat State Championship season. During his tenure at Lawrence County High School, Coach Freeman was voted Teacher of the Year numerous times, so many times you probably couldn't count, to include a one-time consecutive stretch of 10 years in the row that he was voted Teacher of the Year by the student body. He was even awarded a car from the local dealership way back in the day in honor of that award. For many years, Coach Freeman worked 2 jobs. Not only was he coach, not only was he husband and father, not only was he history teacher, but he was also the night manager at a local grocery store. After 40 years of service to the Lawrence County school system, Coach Freeman finally hung up his whistle and he shut the door to his classroom for the final time in 2011 to retire and to pursue his passion of cattle farming. This is what he would spend the rest of his days doing, along with his wife Sue and his son Josh, until he passed in 2020. Leaving behind Sue, his wife, Josh and Michelle, 3 grandsons, Hunter, Tyler, and Cooper, and now 2 great-grandchildren. I would be amiss talking about Coach Freeman if I didn't share with you some of the stories, just a few, from his former students and former colleagues that they shared with me about Coach Freeman. One student said, Coach Freeman told us not to fret about finding a boyfriend or a girlfriend in high school because statistically, every human being was compatible with 33,000 other people. She said that set her mind at ease. Coach Freeman used his own experience of tragic loss and taught me that life goes on, one student said. She said that she was in an accident while in Vanderbilt Hospital. Coach Freeman, the only teacher, mind you, come to Vanderbilt to visit her. And his example of his personal loss helped her deal with loss and the fact to accept that life does indeed go on. Another student said, although I don't remember much of his history, most of the history that Coach Freeman taught me, he did teach me the skills of memorization, which helped me earn mostly A's at the University of North Alabama, where I received my degree. Another student and a colleague who was sitting behind me, a fellow bald man, and we call him Director Atkins, says, I owe a huge debt of gratitude to Coach Freeman for where I am today, and in the fact that he taught me how to take notes and how to study, which without that, I don't know that I would have made it. He also told me from just before the meeting that Coach Freeman, out of all the years that Mr. Atkins was principal and of all the teachers that he saw retire, Coach Freeman was the only one who 2 years later came back knocking on his door and said, I miss it. I miss the kids. I miss the career. Another student said, Coach, most notable quote, if life was fair, I'd have hair. And then a colleague, a very good friend, who is here in attendance tonight, Coach Gary Lamb. He wrote this: when I first started my career, not long after school started, we were walking down the hall, and coming our way was a colleague of ours who will go unnamed for several reasons. But this colleague of theirs was a rather large woman on the plus side. And this sweet teacher was wearing a bright red dress. Now, mind you, this was Coach Lamb's very first year, probably within the first few weeks of that year. And Jim pushed him up against the wall and hollering to watch out because there's a fire truck coming down the hall. Needless to say, it took Coach Lamb and Jim Freeman quite some time to smooth that over with that teacher. But that's just what kind of humor Jim Freeman had. He also went on to write, when Jim would see one person writing notes right-handed and another student writing notes left-handed, he would say to them, wouldn't it be great if you were amphibious? And the students would look up at him strangely and say, I don't believe you have that right, Coach. I don't believe you have the right word. That means you can live on land and on water. You mean ambidextrous. Coach would just simply grin and say, I always get those backwards. Well, along the same lines, every time a girl from Lawrence County High School would win Miss Ferris of the Fair, he would say to her, congratulations, I just heard that you won the blue ribbon last night. And she said, no, Coach, that's for livestock. He would just grin and said, I always get those backwards. Coach Lamb would then, in closing, I will close with his statements. Jim Freeman was my mentor, my friend, and the inspiration for the teacher I wanted to become. My first year at LCSS, Jim took me under his wing. He knew this city boy from Huntsville was going to need to learn how to become a country boy and become one fast. During my first in-service, Jim took me out to lunch and he showed me around Lawrenceburg, and it seemed everywhere Jim took me, everyone knew him, and I felt like I was with a celebrity. I'd never met a person with so many interesting stories. Jim had a gift of gab. He used those stories in his quick-witted humor in teaching and his coaching style. I saw firsthand how students and players loved Coach Freeman, loved taking his class, and loved playing for him. I knew that I wanted the same for my students and players. One of Jim's favorite lines was, if life was fair, I'd have hair. Jim was a Will Rogers and a Rodney Dangerfield wrapped up into one package. He left us way too early, but I was glad that this city boy got to cross paths with that old country boy. May you rest in peace, Jim. Love and miss you, friend, Gary Lamb. For his passion to teach history, for his passion to coach and impact the lives of Lawrence County youth for many, many years, for 40 years. 40 years of service in Lawrence County school system and to Lawrence County. Let us honor the late Coach Jim Freeman, who truly made a difference in countless lives and whose legacy still today is reaching and impacting lives. Thank you, Coach Freeman, for who you were and for all that you did to make our hometown a better place. Josh and family, if you would, come forward and receive the recognition. Come on forward, sir. We got to get a picture. Somebody taller than Josh stand in front of him. Absolutely.
He was tortured enough.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next on the agenda tonight is the recognition of student recognition, and first one today up is a new prospect, Dr. Jones.
Today I stand before you to talk about an exceptional individual who has made a significant impact on our school community. William Dixon, a sixth grader at New Prospect School, is an outstanding student who exemplifies the qualities of politeness, friendliness, kindness, hard work, and effective communication. First and foremost, William's polite and friendly nature is evident in all of his interactions. He consistently displays good manners by addressing his teachers and peers with respect, using phrases like, "Yes, sir," "Yes, ma'am," "No, sir," "No, ma'am." This level of courtesy not only shows his upbringing, but also creates a positive atmosphere within the classroom and school as a whole. William's genuine friendliness extends beyond mere pleasantries. He actively seeks out opportunities to help others and make them feel included. Whether it's offering assistance to a struggling classmate or simply greeting everyone with a warm smile, William's kindness shines through his actions. Furthermore, William is known for his unwavering work ethic. He approaches every task with dedication and determination, always striving for excellence. Whether it's completing assignments or participating in group projects, he consistently puts forth his best effort. His commitment to academic success serves as an inspiration to his classmates and encourages them to push themselves further. William's exemplary qualities and actions have undoubtedly left a lasting impact on our school community. He serves as a role model for his peers, demonstrating the importance of kindness, hard work, and effective communication. His positive attitude and dedication to personal growth inspire others to strive for greatness. In conclusion, William Dixon is an exceptional sixth grader at New Prospect School who embodies the qualities of politeness, friendliness, kindness, hard work, and effective communication. His polite demeanor, friendly nature, and commitment to excellence makes him a standout student in our community. We are fortunate to have such an outstanding individual among us. I have no doubt that William will continue to achieve great things in the future. Our MPS outstanding student, Mr. William Dixon.
Congratulations, William. Our next student recognition tonight is from Etheridge Elementary, Miss Cruz.
Good evening. It's always an honor to recognize an outstanding student from Etheridge Elementary. but it's difficult to just recognize one. So tonight, I would like to recognize two, one from our 3-5 grade level and one from our 6-8 grade band. The two students that I have with me tonight are both great leaders, and they've both been a Bulldog since kindergarten. Their teachers recommended them for their student leadership this year to represent their class, and they meet with me once a month. The first student that I would like to recognize is Maya Rogers. She's in the 5th grade, and she always has a smile on her face and is a friend to everyone. An example the PE teacher gave me that Maya came up to her a couple weeks ago and said, "Can I please make a birthday card for this girl?" Not her best friend, just someone in her class that she wanted to recognize. She performs well in the classroom and is an excellent basketball player. Just an all-around great student. Next, the student that I would like to spotlight is Caitlin Norwood. She's in 8th grade. She's a member of our robotics team, Knowledge Bowl team, volleyball, and softball teams. She excels in and out of the classroom as well. Caitlin is one of the first students to arrive each morning on campus. This morning, or this one day this week, she actually helped the pre-K students walk across from daycare, and she's always helping them into the building and doing anything that's asked of her. Both of these girls represent Etheridge well, and I'm so proud to call them a Bulldog. So tonight, my outstanding students from Etheridge Elementary are Miss Maya Rogers and Caitlin Norwood.
Good job, girls. Thank you. Next on the agenda tonight is kind of a new program that it was adopted by our lovely lawmakers, and they said that it's really a good thing that the community can get involved with these school board meetings or any kind of meeting. So they adopted where the public can request to speak in front of the board at any time, just as long as the topic is on the agenda. So tonight we have a lucky parent that wants to speak towards the board for school safety. So Misty Hurler, I'm sorry, Misty Hurler. You can speak in front of the board and the audience, and you have 5 minutes. And if you have any questions, please direct them to the chairman. And if you need more time, I would elect to have the board vote on it and then go from there. So you have the floor. Thank you.
Okay. What I'm speaking on tonight, you guys saw me last week. You guys are going to see a lot of me at this point. Because I think that Lawrence County needs to start moving forward and we need to implement some change, as I said last week. This week, I'm kind of speaking towards your budget as well. One of the things that I think we need to start implementing as far as school safety procedures is school IDs for all students in grades 6th grade, so junior high through high school. We should have IDs on our students at all times. If the student doesn't have an ID, they should be sent home, or the parent should be called to bring them their school ID. We can get ID makers and make them in the school. You guys can sell lanyards to recoup some of the cost of making those IDs. If a student forgets their ID, they can have the option to buy another ID. However, if they're being disciplined, I believe the Achievement Academy IDs, their IDs should be revoked, and their ID should state such that they are at the Achievement Academy, and that will prevent students who are not supposed to be on campus from being on campus at things such as dances, football games, extracurricular activities, or even after school, because those students will be able to be identified as such. I think this is imperative, and let me tell you why. My 19-year-old daughter was allowed to walk into a high school dance last year under the name, using the ticket with permission. However, the folks that were there that were doing the dance were not aware of this, but she was allowed to use the ticket with the name of another gentleman on it. And at 19 years old, walked into that high school dance and nobody questioned who she was or why she was there. It wasn't breaking any school policies. It wasn't breaking any school rules, but there was no written information. How do they know who she was? And what does that prevent any other child or any other adult from walking into those high school dances or junior high dances and presenting themselves as a high school student? If everybody is ID'd and everybody has an ID, it keeps our kids inherently safer. It prevents things from happening. It prevents adults from walking around the school. The other day, I was able to walk into the school. The secretary had gone home, and I was able to walk around the entire school with students there that were tutoring after school with no knowledge of any adults. They were all in back doors behind offices. I was in that school for almost a half hour. So all of those students that were sitting out in hallways were unprotected.
Thank you very much.
This is just some food for thought for you guys.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda tonight is consent items. Can I get a motion to approve A through E? I got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries by vote. Moving on to item 2, report items, school report. First is Ms. Jones, Dr. Jones.
It is with great pleasure I stand before you tonight to talk about New Prospect School. With a student population of 401 students ranging pre-K to 8th grade, this school has been providing quality education and fostering growth in various areas for many years. One of the areas that New Prospect School excels in is our 10 all-corps tutoring and intervention programs. This initiative ensures that every student receives the necessary support and guidance to succeed academically. By offering personalized tutoring and intervention sessions, NPS helps students overcome challenges and reach their full potential. Another strength of New Prospect School lies in its commitment to providing leadership opportunities to students. Recognizing the importance of developing leadership skills at an early age, New Prospect offers various programs and activities that empower students to take on leadership roles. These opportunities not only enhance their confidence, but also prepare them for future endeavors. Furthermore, New Prospect School has shown growth in numeracy. The school's numeracy growth score indicates that students are making progress in their mathematical abilities. This achievement reflects the dedication of both the faculty and students toward improving their mathematical skills. However, like any school, New Prospect also faces certain areas of weakness that need attention. One such area is the lack of space. As the student population continues to grow, it becomes increasingly challenging to accommodate everyone comfortably. Additionally, there is a need to improve literacy scores at New Prospect School. While numeracy scores have shown positive growth, literacy scores require more attention and focus. By implementing targeted strategies and interventions, the school can ensure that students' reading and writing abilities will improve. Despite these challenges, New Prospect School boasts an accomplished faculty and staff who have dedicated many years to shaping young minds. Ms. Paula Duchelle, Ms. Lynette McNutt, and Ms. Shelley Hardiman each received their pins this year for 25 or more years of service to the school, demonstrating their unwavering commitment to education. Furthermore, Brad Dye, 2023 Teacher of the Year, exemplifies the excellence and dedication that New Prospect strives for. Not only does New Prospect School have an exceptional faculty and staff, but its students have also achieved remarkable accomplishments. Our Knowledge Bowl team, consisting of students from 4th through 6th grade, secured a commendable 3rd place in competitive competition. The Junior Beta Engineering team claimed 1st place, showcasing their talents and skills. Additionally, the Elementary Beta Pen Trading team achieved an impressive 2nd place, as well as 4th place in the Elementary Beta Color Photo category. These achievements highlight the hard work and dedication of New Prospect School students. In conclusion, New Prospect excels in various areas while striving to overcome challenges. With its Tennessee All-Corps tutoring and intervention programs and leadership opportunities for students, the school has proven its commitment to providing a quality education. While there is a need to address the issues such as lack of space and improved literacy growth scores, the accomplishments of both the faculty and students demonstrate the potential for continued success. We also appreciate the support that we have received from the board through our new interior doors, which have provided extra safety, and our new roof. We look forward to the completion of our STEM building, our greenhouse, and outdoor classroom. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Okay.
Thank you. Next up for school reports is Christy for Etheridge Elementary. Ms. Cruz.
Thank you. I would just like to share some things that are going on at Etheridge Elementary School tonight. Some of our strengths: we became a STEAM designated school, the first one in Lawrence County in 21-22. When I had a bulldog, I was going to show you that we just completed with our 3D printer yesterday. Our test scores this year, our growth score, our school-wide was a composite. We were level 5. Also a level 5 in literacy, numeracy, and social studies. And we were a level 3 in science. We're very proud of those accomplishments this year. An area of weakness, we do lack space. This year we did have to cap certain grade levels because of space that we could, unless they were actually in our zone. Some accomplishments of our faculty and staff: Ms. Jeanette Sockel was our 2023 Teacher of the Year. And tonight, she is in charge of our first performance, our first play, Miss Mary Poppins, and it's going on right now. And with her and Cheryl Augustine, they are doing that tonight. We had 2 teachers, well, a teacher and cafeteria manager, that received a pin this year for 30 years of service. I think that's awesome. Miss McKnight, with 30 years as our RTI coordinator, and Miss Sharon Williams, our cafeteria manager. We do have one retired teacher, Miss Cindy Beck, that came back. She retired last year, and she's working 2 days a week as one of our part-time tutors. We also have 2 girls that last year in high school took teaching as a profession, and they are working. They're actually here tonight. I told them, yes, I told them I was going to make them speak. Hope Jones and Gracie Kelly, and they are doing a fantastic job. So, Mr. Crusoe, when you talked earlier about staying, that's what I hope to do. I hope to hire them as teachers here in about 3 years. We're also pleased to have just a wonderful PTO. If you've been by our school in the last 6 months, you see the new digital sign. We're very pleased with that, and that is thanks to our PTO working really hard on that. Some student accomplishments. Last year, we had 5 teams that won in the state competition, and they were able to advance to West Virginia. There, we had 1 team that finished 2nd in this national competition for drones. Our 4th through 6th Knowledge Bowl last year finished 1st, and our 7th and 8th finished 2nd. Our student population now, I think when I submitted, we've gained 4 more students, is at 508, and that's a pre-K through 8th grade school. You can see our number of faculty and staff. Some projects that we are tickled about is the greenhouse that we're going to hopefully have this year in our outdoor classroom. This year, which if you also have been by our school, our parking lot was paved, and that's something that we have been looking forward to for a long time, and I know sometimes little things just make us very happy. But thank you so much for doing that, supporting us in that, and all the things that you do to make Etheridge just a great school for our students, our faculty, and our staff. So do you have questions for me?
Thank you, Christy.
All right, thank you.
Two very good schools and great reports. I thank you very much. Moving on to item B is personnel report. Are there any questions regarding this? Mr. Ackett, you got anything to add on personnel?
I don't believe so, Mr. Caruso.
Moving on to C is director's report. You got it.
Well, thank you to Dr. Jones and Mrs. Cruz and to the folks here tonight, part of their education and working towards becoming educators. We hope, as Mr. Caruso mentioned earlier, that you call Lawrence County your home. You will not be disappointed. It's a great place to work and a great place to begin a family and a great place to one day retire from. So do stick around. Chairman Caruso on the board, I want to give you some updates. Our Grow Your Own program, state initiative program where you take folks from within your building and help them work through the process of becoming an educator. Lawrence County School System has 10 educational assistants excuse me, who are working and taking classes in Grow Your Own program. They will complete this program in a few years and then be able to move into our program. We also offer I Teach program, and I want to share a story with you. We've had several folks join the Lawrence County School System through the I Teach program, but one that I'm extremely proud of and I want to share with the board, a young man who was working as a custodian for the Lawrence County School System got into the school system, realized that that might be his calling, and last Friday passed his praxis exam for special education and is working for Dr. Jones at New Prospect, where he was serving as a custodian. So a great program. Both of those are headed up by Mrs. Thompson, who is doing the heavy lifting there, and great things are happening. So thank you to Mrs. Thompson. We had a donation from the Krause Foundation for AEDs. Coordinated School Health recognized that we needed to update our devices after a presentation, I believe it was in June, about life-saving measures. Mr. Tim Pettis and the Krause Foundation helped us provide 14 more AEDs, more modern, more advanced AEDs in our schools. Every school in Lawrence County now has the latest technology. In the coming days, I'll be sharing with the faculty and staff, principals, the proposed 24-25 academic calendar. We have two versions of those. I will speak to that tomorrow in the weekly address that I send to the faculty each Friday, and then we'll share the information with the board this weekend, and then the survey to the teachers next week. School safety continues to be a concern. I don't know that you can ever not be concerned about school safety, and that is a focus in the Lawrence County school system. Doors are monitored and checked. Doors are checked throughout the day from SROs. We've got a request for proposals in place to bring in someone to begin repairing doors that Mr. Tucker, myself, and Mr. Brown have deemed in need of repair, and I'll be sharing that information with the board as that comes to fruition. Building progress, the Loretta High School gym is nearing completion. We're on the final punch list. Dr. Littleton and her team has given a list to the site foreman. The central office and maintenance did the same. Our LCSS bleachers are being installed, should be completed by the end of the weekend. The multi-purpose building at Summertown, progress is being made there. We're looking at beginning work in the coming weeks with delivery of the multi-purpose building in November and installation beginning sometime late November, early December. Summertown High School football plans are being discussed. We've been working on that for some time. We've involved the Summertown administration, the athletic director, so we're working towards developing a football field at Summertown for those students in that community. Emergency status update on Summertown Elementary. The front entrance is nearly completed. I believe we were getting ready to sow grass today or tomorrow there. The delayed icing concerns, I was up there today and they're nearing completion on that. We've got one or two things left to do, but we feel really good about that, and so that will be coming to an end. Third grade and fourth grade retention, I want to make the board aware, and any folks who are watching, third grade retention last year, there's also a second part of the third grade retention, and that's fourth grade retention. And so our principals are making that information known to parents in the fourth grade who move from third grade to fourth grade, but they're going to have to show adequate growth on fourth grade testing, and we're not sure what adequate growth looks like at this moment, but we will be sharing that information once we know more. But our principals are doing a great job of communicating that out to parents now. We do not want parents hearing about this at the last minute, and our principals are doing the heavy lifting on that. A concern we have is the A through F report card. That will be coming out in November. We're told it could be pushed to December. I've shared my concerns with principals. I've shared my concerns with lawmakers, and I will share some more information with the board this weekend in the weekly update, give you a little more detail about that. 22-23 academic performance for the district as a whole will be presented by Mrs. Ridgway next month. I do want to recognize several of our schools for their growth this year. Of course, we have Lawrence County High School, South Lawrence School, Etheridge Elementary, and Summertown Elementary. All were level 5 in growth, but we saw a lot of improvement in a number of schools this year as well. We're in the process of developing our TISA accountability report due to the state sometime in November. 3 areas that we're working on, excuse me, ELA, third grade, math 3 through 8, and ready graduates. We have a goal of 2030 to reach 70% in ELA, 55% in math, and 85% in ready grad. We'll get that information together as Mrs. Ridgway finalizes that, but that will require us to share information in public presentations. We will develop an email account for public comment. We will have it on our website, and we will have a social media campaign to share that information with folks before November 1st. And I want to close with just, you heard it tonight, you saw it tonight. Dedicated men and women in the Lawrence County school system are doing great work, and they're making a difference in the lives of children. And I'm honored to serve them. So, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. Are there any questions regarding the update? Very well. Moving on to item D, technology report and update. Is that you again, or
I think Mr. Hobbs has something.
Mr. Hobbs?
Just starting of the meeting, I handed out a little handout that kind of explains everything. We were having some issues at Summertown. It was kind of a perfect storm that happened up there with lightning and storms and power outages and that kind of thing. So our internet was up and down for a few days. So my team, I sent my whole team up. We spent several days, and we're still up there. We were up there today working. But this kind of explains what happened and what kind of issues that we saw. And all of this has been ratified. We have a board up in our room that has Summertown's been up for 20 days. So we're 20 days without going down at all. So I just wanted to provide y'all with some information about what happened and kind of what we've took place. It's just kind of old switches and old buildings and links from one building to the other. It's just, when we patch and add on to a building, we've just patched and patched and patched until we've got to go back through and redo some things that's there. So everything should be up and running correctly now. We also have worked on, and you see in the budget tonight where y'all approved the boards for the extra classrooms. We've added teachers in every building and every room that we possibly can put classrooms. So the box light panels will be installed in those here within the next couple of weeks. Getting those installed, and everything else should be up and running. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Hobbs? Thank you very much. Keep up the good work. Moving on to item C, there was 3 executive committee approvals. One for playground at New Prospect, another overnight trip for the Beta Club at New Prospect, and ESSER 3.0 funds for Chromebooks, box light panels, and Apple computers equaling $525,000. Are there any questions regarding those executive approvals?
Those are from ESSER.
ESSER, that's correct. Very well, moving on to item F, athletic coaching supplements. Mr. Atkins.
Chairman Caruso and the board, fellow board member and a few athletic coaches and administrators have asked for the board to give me authorization to look at assistant coaching supplements. We're finding that some of our schools, they can find a head coach within their building, but they may not be able to find an assistant coach in the district and can't get those folks to come on board. And I've been asked for the board to authorize me to look at developing a plan, much like we did for the head coaches outside of the district, where we post a position throughout the district. If there's not interest, then we will go outside and bring someone in at compensation. The same process would follow with assistant coaches, but Mrs. Elledge and I need to look at that from several angles. But I would ask the board if you would like for me to pursue that. I'm happy to do that and continue to update you in the weekly update.
Mr. Crusoe?
Yes, go ahead.
Are these employees currently of the school system, or are these the volunteers?
Dr. Mabry, if we have them current employees, we want them to do it. If we do not, and we do not have interest, then we would want to post and try to recruit from outside. They would be non-faculty coaches who the system would compensate for their assistant role.
Isn't that going to bring in open a whole different can of worms?
Well, that's why we would want to look at
These
it.
are volunteers, the ones that you're speaking of, and they're doing it for community service, because I would think they have children probably involved. But if you compensate non-employees, isn't there a cost there? Isn't there more liability there?
Well, we're currently doing that. We have head coaches that we advertise throughout the district, and there's not an interest in it. For example, you may have a golf or volleyball, and there's not an interest at that school, there's not interest in the district, and then the principals will have somebody that they will recommend to us, and we compensate that head coach. This would be the same approach of compensating the assistant. But we would like to, Mrs. Elledge and I, to do this. I think we have several questions we would like to ask as well, and involve other folks that might be doing this and the complications or difficulties they've had.
I think in the past, once before, we looked at this issue, and in having looked at it, we looked at the liability. If they are considered an employee of Lawrence County, we have to look at, we're paying Social Security, we're probably paying their Medicare, and the other issue there is how many hours, how are you going to keep up with their hours? And also, are we responsible completely? Because if they're our employee, do they not get treated like a support staff? Would they not have to have insurance? Those are the issues we discussed before. Kevin should remember that.
I believe so, yeah. Any further questions regarding?
I make a motion we approve for Mr. Atkins and Miss Elledge to look at those on a case-by-case basis, and if they decide that an assistant coach from outside the system is needed and the criteria is met, that they have the right to hire that person.
We have a motion on the floor to continue with the search or research on the athletic coaching supplement. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second. Brenda, you have a question?
Yes, would you clarify that, please? Would that be a teacher from outside, or would that be just
It
a
could be.
volunteer in the community?
It could be a volunteer.
And in other words, we would assume all liability for them.
We do that now anyway. We already have non-faculty head coaches in the system.
I wasn't aware of that.
We have for, I know, 5 years.
It's never been brought up here that I know of.
Yeah, it has, because we have voted on one
I may
in
have
particular.
not been here
Right.
that
Well, we
night,
have
but-
actually voted to pay one in particular, so.
Again,
That's 6 months ago, I think.
liability.
I'm not sure when it
et
was,
cetera.
but
Go ahead.
I want to, and correct me if I'm wrong, currently, as far as budgeting, when you have a program, you have a head coach, and then you have assistants, budgeted, you may have 1, 2, or 3. That money's already been budgeted for that particular position, correct? So you're not really asking for any more money there, but what is involved is just, sometimes the coach can't get an assistant coach, so they go, get a non-faculty coach. And all it is some compensation for a non-faculty coach. We have head coaches already, like I say, that's non-faculty coach. Whatever that head coaching supplement is, I don't know what they get, but, I feel it's fair for them to get it. And I feel it's fair for the assistant to get that, the budget. And I've asked for any more money or anything, it's just.
Go ahead,
To
Mr.
to answer Mrs. Jacobs' question, we treat this as contract labor. We have a contract signed with them. They do a 1099 for the head coaches right now, and that has been looked at and approved.
So they would just be contract, not an
But-
official employee of Lawrence County.
That's right. But we do take on some, responsibility and liability because they are working with our kids. And so, but we've had those things looked at. It's just, is other districts doing the assistant coaches? And if they are, what are the issues that they're facing? That would be what I'm asking the board, is to pursue that along the same vein that we have the head coaches that we currently use in that same format. And we've even used a few athletic trainers who are outside contractors who come in and work with our kids on Friday night during basketball games and so forth. We find ourselves without personnel, but we still find ourselves with kids on athletic fields, and provide our coaches who are employees more supervision as well. That's the kind of the purpose behind it.
Any other further questions? Could you repeat the motion, please?
I'm gonna let Mr.
Sure.
Rochelle
Go ahead,
repeat
if
that,
you
so
can-
that
if
way
you
I
can-
have an understanding.
no way will I word this the same, but.
Well, by all means, try.
My motion is to allow Mr. Atkins and Ms. Elledge to approve assistant coaches that are non-faculty on a case-by-case basis. Compensated coaches.
Please call roll.
Weathers,
Yes.
Rochelle,
Yes.
Nodder,
Yes.
Mabry,
No.
Jacobs,
No.
Hartsfield,
Yes.
Dryden,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Caruso.
Yes.
7 yes, 2 no.
Motion carries. Moving on to item G, LCEA.
Good evening. I just wanted to let you know that we've been collecting signatures. Our MOU is coming up to be redone this year, and I'll be submitting those signatures to you next month. I would like to say, as far as the sick day, we brought that up several times in collaborative conferencing, and I know you're going to vote on it in just a little bit. And I know lots of employees have asked about that, and they've tried to get that to roll over in years past. I want to say people started asking for it, the year with COVID, when a lot of people lost it if they hadn't used it. But anyways, we think that would be an excellent idea if you do vote for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to H. Brenda, do you have anything for the Tennessee
Nothing going
legislative
on
member?
right now.
Thank you. Moving on to I, plan to appoint delegates for TSBA convention. Would anybody like to volunteer for that, or go ahead? Brenda, and is anybody else going?
I think I'll
Okay.
be willing to
We
go.
got John
It's a
and we got
delegate.
Jerry. Good deal. Any other questions regarding report items? Go
Mr.
ahead.
Caruso, our secretary needs to make sure that she knows
Sure.
that we
Yeah.
are, because if not, if you don't have the delegate badge, they will not let you in.
Sure. Moving on to items for consideration, budget items for consideration, discussion, and action. Under A, health insurance premium for the 24 calendar year. Jessica?
So, in your packet and what's in front of you on the screen are the new premiums that we are proposing for the beginning in January of 2024. Our state insurance plan did go up. Each of the plans, depending upon which tier you were on and which plan you chose, went up different percentages. So it's hard for me to tell you exactly how much each one of these went up, but it ranged somewhere between 2 to 10% in some cases. So what we had done was, based on the memorandum of understanding with LCEA, we provide a plan that is free to employees. So down at the bottom of the screen, the limited PPO plan, employee-only portion, the cost of that increase was $300 a year. And so we have passed that $300 along to every plan on the insurance tier. So we are paying, as the employer, an additional $300 based on this proposal. So that still fulfills the MOU with LCEA and the Board of Education. And then the other cost above and beyond that $300 on some of the other tiers has been passed along to the employee. I think the most is about $80 a month that the employee would be paying out of pocket. $80 for over 10 months, so about $800 a year on some of the employee plus spouse plans.
Are there any questions regarding insurance?
Can you re-explain that one more time? Let me detail, the premium for the limited PPO went up $300.
Per year, yes.
to-
For the employee-only portion.
For the employee-only portion. So to maintain a $0 cost to our employee, we took that $300 and we put it up to the standard PPO and the premier PPO.
Correct. Same is true on the employee plus child plans.
So the employee who chooses to take the standard and/or premium, they're paying for the employees who want to stay on the limited at zero cost.
No, they're not paying.
They're paying more.
They're receiving the same $300 as a benefit, but if that same plan costs them $310, they're paying that additional $10 out of pocket. We are paying across the board $300
For every employee.
for every person.
Every person.
For every plan that rose more than that $300, the difference is being passed along to the employee.
Okay, now what's the difference between Network S and Network P?
So Network S is a smaller network within the state than Network P. Network P, and I can't tell you exactly because I haven't looked at all those details, but Network P is almost statewide. It would range from Memphis to Johnson City, where Network S is primarily kind of Middle Tennessee. It's a smaller network of providers.
Okay, thank you.
And one area that we are concerned about, as are other districts and folks, is that employee spouse. That has skyrocketed in the last several years. And there's external reasons for that, but that's expensive. That's the one that we've seen a significant increase.
Well, that's
here.
what all plans are doing, Mr.
That's what I was
Atkins,
fixing to say.
to encourage
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
If you guys-
spouse carrying their own.
That's right,
Yep.
that's right.
Yep.
Very well, moving on to item B, advertisement.
We need to vote on that, Kevin.
That's right.
We need to vote on
Okay, I'm
that.
sorry, yeah. Do we have a motion?
Motion approved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Please call roll.
Mr. Cruz, I've got a question. Under this coverage, it says all sports. Does that mean tennis? I'm sure it means basketball and football, but is it talking about
No,
all?
we're doing the health insurance first, then we'll go down. We got to vote.
I
on
thought
health
that's what
insurance.
you were doing.
Oh, I messed up. We need to vote for the health insurance.
You ready to vote?
So we have we have a motion and a second for the premiums on the health insurance.
Yes.
Please call roll.
Caruso,
Aye.
Daniel,
Yes.
Dryden,
Yes.
Hartsfield.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Mabry.
Aye.
Nodert.
Yes.
Rochelle.
Yes.
Weathers.
Yes.
9 yes.
Motion carries. Now moving on, I apologize for that. Under B, the advertisement of school system during sports X radio athletic broadcast would be $10,000 for all sports events. Mr. Atkins, you got something to add?
Mr. Chairman of the Board, this idea we've been looking at for a couple of years now to use the success of the Lawrence County school system, academic, CTE, spotlight teachers, recruitment, a number of things. The reach that the X Sports Network has and is continuing to develop, I believe is an opportunity for us to showcase what we do in Lawrence County, and this is relatively cheap in comparison to some other groups, but we have a lot of great things happening. A lot of folks are watching this network. They see what's happening. You have local advertisement, but I do believe the Lawrence County school system, we should take advantage of that opportunity and promote the good things that are going on. STEM, CTE, athletics, of course, but the academics, a number of things that we can help develop and have a blank slate in promoting this school system and our teachers and our kids and Lawrence County.
Motion to approve.
I got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second. Dr. Mabry, you had a question?
Yes, it says all sports.
Yeah.
Does that mean all games of all sports?
That would be my understanding, is that we would get into the games and the areas that we can. Now, golf is going to be difficult.
Well, I'm not
Yeah.
speaking of
Volleyball,
cross-country would be difficult.
it
too.
would, yes, unless we put go cams or whatever those things on them. But otherwise, that would be tennis. They cover now. I know that's one. Football, basketball, volleyball.
So that means that
Soccer may be more.
Lawrence County High School, Loretta, and Summertown
And
can all, and maybe some middle schools,
Yeah.
can all count on each game they have being on X Sports.
I don't know with all middle schools, but
Well, I'm not speaking.
yeah. I think the
I'm
high.
mainly talking about the 3 high schools.
I would think that the 3 high schools and their major sports, definitely. I don't know what the other sports, how difficult it is to cover that. Baseball, softball is pretty easy, but you might,
This is just us advertising
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the sports network.
yeah, that's all we're doing. But I don't know.
Well, I'm more interested in seeing the kids when I am
Yeah,
advertising.
yeah. But I will work with the company and just ask those questions.
Please do.
Motion, go ahead.
On this page you have here, it says up to 10 separate commercials may be produced as part of this package. Does that mean there'll only be 10 different things?
Well, we will get to use those 10 commercials and set those up however we want, whatever we want to spotlight. We get 10 opportunities to showcase Lawrence County school system.
But we'll only have 10 commercials, in other words.
No, it's
No.
not, it's not 10,
No.
10 commercials like as far as counting. They may make 10 commercials that are different commercials. They're going to run throughout.
I understand that. But according to this, we'll only have 10 separate ones.
It's not
And they
10,
may go on
it's not 10 spots. They'll run it
No,
however many
10
times.
commercials. And I understand
But-
that.
yeah,
What I'm
okay.
saying, we will have 10 commercials produced, and then they'll run them however many times.
Yeah,
Please call roll.
Weathers,
Yes.
Rochelle,
Yes.
Nodert,
Yes.
Mabry,
Uh-huh.
Jacobs,
Aye.
Hartsfield.
Yes.
Dryden,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Caruso,
Yes.
9 ayes.
Motion carries. Moving on to C, LCSS ESER.30, Public Plan and Budget for Remaining Funds. Jessica or Ms. Brackens?
I believe Mrs. Elledge have it, or is it Mrs.
You want to
Ridgway?
speak to it,
Ms.
Katie?
Ridgway?
This
It's
is,
okay.
this is the public-facing plan that we have to put on our website in relation to the work session that we had. So we'd already talked about everything. This is the formal plan that TDOE sits down, that we have to update every 6 months. Thankfully, this is the last one that we have to do. But it's just, you have to approve the work that you did when we were in the work session. It's just put on paper now.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions for Ms. Ridgway? Please call roll.
Caruso,
Aye.
Daniel,
Yes.
Dryden,
Yes.
Hartsfield,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Mabry,
Aye.
Nydert,
Yes.
Rochelle,
Yes.
Weathers,
Yes.
9 ayes.
Motion carried. Moving on to item 4, personnel items for consideration. Under A, employee birthday rolling over to sick days. Mr. Atkins.
Mr. Chairman, as we've looked at this, and LCEA mentioned it as well, Mrs. Elledge and I have talked about it. Last year and the year before, I had several employees, as we've started talking more about employee attendance, bringing up this use it or lose it with the birthdays. And employees have said, I only took off because it was something that I lose it if I don't. And studying that for a while, we've determined that we have a lot of employees who had rather not be off work and lose that day. 771 birthdays last year in the Lawrence County school system, somewhere around $54,000 to $56,000. Now, we're not going to cover all of that, but we are going to give our employees an opportunity not to lose it or feel like they need to take off. This would allow that day to roll into a sick day, which when employees retire from the school system, the number of sick days they have every 20 equals a month. So this is an opportunity for our employees to receive that benefit, and whether they use it or not, it benefits them.
Chairman,
Go ahead, Jim.
I think this will be a great thing to do, and I'd like to take this opportunity to move that we approve this.
We have a motion on the floor to move.
And I second.
And we have a second. Are there any questions regarding the birthday rollover to sick days? Very well. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries by vote. Moving on to B, staff easy contract.
Mr. Chairman, this is another one of our outside vendors that we're working with to help provide teachers in high-demand areas. Last month, I spoke to the board about Maxim, a special education services provider. Staff EZ opens up more than just special ed. They do teachers, support staff personnel, therapists, guidance counselors, and we have a contract with them, and we're trying to bring in a few teachers. The challenge is that other districts are doing the same thing. So Staff EZ and these other contracted services, these providers, their pool is shrinking as well. So we want to make sure that we're involved, and when we have needs, that we have another pathway to bring in teachers into the Lawrence County school system.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Are there any questions?
Mr. Crusoe,
Go ahead, Doc.
Mr. Atkins, is Mr. Cagle approved and feel comfortable about that contract that was posted on our website? Is that the one you're talking about?
The Maxim or this?
The contract with this?
Yeah, this is a Tennessee-based company, and they are a part of the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents, where Mr. Cagle is the lead attorney.
So he has?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 5 on the next page. Faculty facility items for consideration, building plaques and markers. Mr. Atkins.
Mr. Chairman, this is just a marking, an indication of the work that the board and the county commission has done at the schools, Summertown, Kaufman, and Loretta Gym. All of our buildings have markers in them. Some of the additions over the years do not, and we would like to just start at this point in any additional buildings that school system adds in the future, that we properly label that. The year it happened, who the board members were, county commission members, and the year. Most of every one of our schools have something now. This is just adding to those new additions.
Move to approve.
I got a motion on the floor to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Are there any questions regarding the building plaque? Go ahead. Mike.
And the reason we're bringing this before you is Mr. Tucker and I and others believe this is a permanent structure, and we want the board to have say in that. It's putting that on a wall somewhere. It is a permanent structure.
No further questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd already spoken with Michael and Mr. Tucker about Larry Davis's name being on there because he voted on most of the stuff before I came in, so.
So we'll have
As
to
far as
add
adding
that.
to it.
We will add Mr. Davis along with Mr. Weathers, because both have overlapped with that process.
Very good. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 6, other items for consideration. A, school safety procedures. Mr. Atkins.
Mr. Chairman, with the new SAVE Act law, schools in that law, as you read it and study it, schools are given some latitude with how they move about the day when students are present. The law reads you must go in and out the main entrance, but the school board can approve safety plans as you have before you that gives the principals and teachers some control over that. So what you have before you is that we're asking you to approve various doors being unlocked at certain times of day, class changes, a few minutes before school starts. All of these doors are supervised and monitored, which is a part of the law. So instead of all students going out the main entrance from a class change and entering the main entrance, they will be able to pursue the same pathways that they have in the past, but those doors are now supervised and monitored at class change times.
Do I have a motion to approve? this
Motion to
amendment?
approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Are there any questions?
Question.
Go ahead, Roy.
Just out of curiosity, how many doors do we have like that? Do you know?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
How many doors do we have like?
I think your challenges are more at your 712s, your schools like that. Now, all under one roof. I think Dr. Jones, even under one roof, does have an outside door going into the gym that would fall under this as we replace those and we put timers on them. Mainly high schools because multiple buildings and class changes. I couldn't give you an exact number right offhand, but we can get you one
I
I
if you.
could just about picture every one of them.
Yeah. I know Loretta from
Summertown, somebody.
Loretta has at least
Loretta's got several.
from the ag building to the at least 4. That's right. Yeah. Your lawyer.
Sorry.
Yes, you mentioned Summertown. The elementary school principal up there, I think, has been written up twice for doors by the fire marshal. And what is the time, and then no fault of his, but what is the time frame on getting these doors fixed countywide?
Our request for proposals comes in, our deadline is October 1st, and we've received at least one already. And I was at Summertown today, and Mr. Brown sent some folks up there. That door that you're talking about is an internal door. It's not an external, so the funding issue, but that is a fire
I saw a
marshal.
video where a lot of doors were being yanked open.
Yeah, that's the doors we're waiting on the proposal from outside vendors to come in and replace those doors.
How soon do you think that'll take place?
The deadline to submit is October 1st, And so we'll have to open the bids, look at it, and then come back. Come back to the board and say, here's who we believe is
So-
best equipped.
If the fire marshal comes before December, it'll be the third write-up.
Well, we believe we've got a plan to address that door. It's already been addressed twice, it's just not holding. And so we've got to either we're going to take that door down and put up a new door. It's the door, not the frame.
I do have who's going to monitor these doors when they're open? Is it, because there's only one SRO in each school, so it's going to be several doors.
Well, the law allows it to be unlocked as long as it's supervised and monitored by school personnel. So teachers, janitors, you could have a number of folks, as long as it's adults who are monitoring those doors.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Moving on to B, School System Health Safety Plan, 6-month addendum.
Mr. Chairman, we've done this, I guess, since COVID began. We have to submit a plan to the state, and it asks us how would we address students out of school, which we have a plan for. Do we require masks? Are we mask mandated, or is it optional? All of those things that we are just required to submit information to the state that we have a plan. We talk about hand washing. We have plans for remote learning if that were to happen. We have procedures in place where we work with the health department, monitoring illnesses and absences. It's a continuation of what we have done probably since 2021, the same plan. Yeah, this will be our last report of this. It expires the 30th of this month, so it's our last opportunity to share with you that what we've been doing for 2 years, we're continuing to do for another week or so.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passed. Moving on to C, approval of annual agenda, board meeting dates. And was that in the packet?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions regarding these meetings? I do want to say that we moved it to 5:30 now due to some board members' request. Are there any questions regarding these dates?
Mr. Crusoe,
Go ahead.
why is October's meeting been changed from the 26th to the 24th?
That's on the next, and we'll be, I guess, Michael,
Well, if you approve the dates, aren't you approving October 24th?
go ahead and explain.
Well, I think the first thing is the annual agenda. Is that what needs to be approved?
For the months on the agenda.
Okay. And then the board meeting dates, I think I'm just going to be out of town that day. I just learned of this last night when I texted the board that I'd had a change in that. That's just a calendaring issue for me.
Do I have a motion to approve the annual agenda?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve C and D.
We have a motion on the floor to approve C and D. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions regarding that, especially on changing from the 26th to the 24th of next month? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Before we adjourn, are there any other items that need to be brought up or any questions regarding anything? I do have one for Mr. Tucker. What's the status on the roofs? Like specifically Lawrence County? Should that be done like a month ago?
Should have been, yes. They're near completion. There's a little bit of metal work left, but other than that, I was told that they're almost, they're 98% done.
Okay.
Cleaned up.
And they will re-fix the parking lot, correct?
Oh, yes, they'll have to,
Yes, it looks pretty bad. Go ahead.
The other three schools are complete.
Okay, good, thank you. Brenda?
Going back to the advertisement, if I read that correctly, the radio station is actually donating us the time, and I think that's a good thing.
They might be separate entities though now.
But this is a different thing to them donating that. I just read it in it
Yes.
that they were donating like 9,000 some
Yeah.
dollars worth of time.
There's a benefit from the Exports Network and the owner to promote the school system as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. I think they should be.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Motion adjourned.